Hey, y'all. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Jade.
And I'm Paul.
And this is Shall We Compare Thee, a remake and sequel podcast.
This is the one where we review and analyze our favorite films and decide if they hold up to their modernized and reimagined counterparts.
Yes, that's right. And only one can survive. And we are here to make that call. So, Paul, tell the folks what we're talking about today.
Today, it's all about the Peter's Pan.
The
We're
Peter
going to be going,
Pan.
yes, we're going to be going to that Disney cartoon from 1953. We're going to be going into that musical starring Mary Martin that was on TV in 1960. We're going to be going into the 2003 Peter Pan, directed by PJ Hogan. We're going to be talking about the 2023 Peter Pan and Wendy on Disney Plus, and the sequel, 1991's Hook, directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Robin Williams, Dustin Hoffman, and Julia Roberts.
Odds, bobs, hammer, and dongs, Paul. That's a whole lot of Peter Pan.
It's a lot of Peter Pan.
A lot.
And we can't get into it without listening to the trailers. So let's roll those trailers.
Bang a rang.
All the fun, all the fantastic adventure of a dream come true. It's Walt Disney's Peter Pan. Here again is the timeless story of the free-spirited boy from Never Never Land, his friends, and the marvelous things that happen to them. There's courageous Wendy, John, and Michael.
We simply surround them and take them by surprise.
And Peter Pan's enemy, the notorious Captain Hook, who's got problems with a nutty crocodile. And of course, there's Tinkerbell, all pixie and all troublemaker.
What's the matter with you? Peter Pan will be blasted out of Neverland.
It's Walt Disney's Peter Pan.
What did you think of the cartoon? Or I'm sorry,
Okay.
what did you think of the animated feature?
Yes. So, okay. I was that kid who was very into, I was a very precocious little shit.
This is shocking to me.
Oh, right. Isn't it though? I mean, what happened to me? When did I become this way? So different, right? Yeah. So I was very into like being an adult, as adult like as I could be, hanging out with the adults, and I didn't like to do any little kid things. And I was a firstborn child in my family. So I just remember always feeling like an adult child, and just to get into like a little bit of my personal life, like I had a pretty crazy childhood, and the trauma was there's some trauma, haven't we all had our trauma, but I did have like a loss of innocence kind of happen to me very early on. So I didn't like realize it until I got older. I'm like, wow, I don't really remember experiencing childhood in the way that a lot of other people describe it, like this innocent, carefree time, because of things that happened to me because of this situation I was put into, whatever, with the people who were supposed to take care of me kind of dropping the ball. And so Peter Pan, that's why I think it's even more special to me, because just to talk a little bit about how I feel about the story, just because I can relate to it so much. I can relate to Peter Pan desperately wanting to hold on to innocence and the fear of it slipping away, and almost putting your fingers in your ears and like, la 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 la, I can't hear you, I don't want to grow up, no I won't. I feel that that's almost how I've become, like, as an adult. I just refuse to let go of my imagination and the carefreeness, and I kind of refuse to settle down, and I'm just kind of like a wild little spirit flitting about in the world. And that's just my chosen, it's my chosen way to be. But so anyway, back to the cartoon. So I, as a kid, I was very into realism, and I was very into, I called them people movies, not cartoons. My sister
Sure.
loved cartoons. She's an amazing artist. She draws like, I don't even know how she does what she does. Her art is incredible, and I will definitely link her Instagram in the description of this podcast so anyone can check it out. I mean, she does sculptures and abstract crazy things. So she draws like anime. She was cartooning as a little kid. I mean, her ability to draw is like off the charts. She's so talented. So she was obsessed with cartoons, and we would always fight over what we were gonna watch. And I just every time a cartoon came on television, I would just like look the other way. I would leave the room. I would go hang out with my parents or their friends or whatever, or write in my journal or something. So I don't remember the cartoon. I have no affection for it. It doesn't like hold a special place in my heart nostalgically. That would be the Mary Martin Peter Pan. That's my jam right there.
Yeah.
So I told Paul this already. I rented it from the library so many times that I broke it. I broke the tape and we had to go back to the library and say, oops, sorry. And they were like, no, it's okay. We'll just order another one. And my mom was like, you're going to need to order 2 copies because we're just going to have to buy one so that we can own it, because we can't keep doing this. We can't keep renting it. Because I would just play, that and the Wizard of Oz. I could just like literally play on repeat.
Yeah.
That and the Leslie Ann Warren Cinderella. I was also obsessed with that one, which I will.
Oh, wow.
Hopefully we'll talk
might
about
be-
that as well. Yeah.
Well, I mean, this movie, this Disney animated feature comes at the end of a pretty impressive run for Disney. You know, Disney had to stop making feature films for a while during World War II. They were making propaganda films. This really comes out of the next phase in 1950, Cinderella, followed by Alice in Wonderland, followed by Peter Pan. I mean, that is a murderer's row of classic animated features.
And because Disney
Peter,
had such imagination, right? They cast the
right.
same girl as Alice in Wonderland to play Wendy. I'm like, you just,
Yeah.
wow, originality.
And this is also the first male human lead title character of one of their movies. You know, before that, the male characters were all animals. You got your Dumbo, you got your Bambi, or they were Pinocchio, who becomes a human at the very end. Up until that point, he's a sentient puppet. You know, all the rest of their movies were Snow White, Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, Sleeping Beauty, you know, the princesses that we know today.
Well,
That
Alice
was
isn't a
who they were.
princess. Alice is a little more similar to this kind of story.
Yeah, exactly. But definitely like female oriented stuff. It is not, I don't think, a coincidence that Disney's first male lead is Peter Pan. I think Disney, in fact, when we go through these, you're going to hear a lot of directors say, I was a little bit like Peter Pan when I was growing up, or I feel a little bit like Peter Pan now. And if you are, let me just talk to the single ladies out there. Hi. If you're on the first date and you're on the date with a director and you're asking about movies and he says, you know, what I've always wanted to do is a remake of Peter Pan because I feel like I'm a little bit like Peter Pan inside. The window in the women's bathroom will not let you out, but there's always a back door in the kitchen, and the kitchen staff will understand why you have to go through that door. Just tell them Peter Pan guy out there at the bar.
I got a Peter Pan on my hands.
Yeah, exactly. Just like
call your girlfriend and
go.
set up a text code. PP.
Yeah, exactly. Because while he might be a character to think about, like in terms of like keeping your childhood and keeping a sense of wonder and keeping a you know, that spark inside of you, he's also not a great match, as Wendy finds out, as Tinkerbell finds out, as Tiger Lily finds out in this, and the mermaids. They all
Find out.
Disney, they are all like hot for Peter in the Disney movie. For I don't know why. I mean, maybe the only reason why is that Peter Pan sort of creates this world. And if you're going to create this world, you might as well create it with people that adore you. It's only when Wendy comes into this world, somebody he did not create in this world, that he can't win her over the same way that he wins over everybody else. How old is he?
It's definitely undefined. It is undefined in the book. It is, they never say. But I
I
will
think there's
say in the book they talk about it a lot, that he has all of his baby teeth, which is a
right,
tad
right.
disturbing.
And of course, in the first movie or in the first story, he's 7 days old when he escapes his mom.
When he runs
And
away,
I
yeah.
will say, to jump around a little bit, one of my favorite scenes in Hook is the scene where little 7-day-old Peter's in the pram
Oh yeah.
and
And he
mom's
just
mom's go
rolls down
and
the
oh god,
hill.
he's like mom's talking about,
Off I
well, he's going
go.
to go to this school and he's going to go to this office and he's going to work here, and
And
he's
he's
just
like,
like,
go, go,
see
Hot
ya.
Wheel pram.
Exactly, I'm out.
I'm out. Yeah, that was really
uh
funny. I cracked up at
yeah,
that.
that was one of my
Yeah.
favorite parts of that one. But so I think he's supposed to be, I mean, definitely prepubescent, definitely preteen. I think you're looking at like an 11 or 12-year-old Peter Pan, but he's also an immortal. We don't really know how long he's been around. And I started to think of him as Dracula, where he's frozen in this age. He's got The Lost Boys, one of the great vampire films of the 80s, doing his bidding.
That's right.
And then he has to go get a woman. He's not going to drain the blood, but he's just definitely going to drain the last bit of energy and patience from her that she possibly can. And then he's going to live forever. I mean, it's a weird story to place like this whole like four-way love quadrangle in the first one. I guess that's just what they thought people would like. I don't even know if it's that much in the story of the J.M. Barrie wrote. Like, is there that much competition between the female characters for him?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Oh yeah.
So
They
this
are
is a
hungry. They are thirsty for some
yeah.
pita. Oh yeah.
Well, this is more and more. There's some wish fulfillment going on in Barry's world.
Yeah, the question I think is, oh, for let's take Tinkerbell, right? As since we're on this Tinkerbell track here, is it that she wants to stop Peter and Wendy from getting together because she's jealous because she wants to be in that romantic
Mhm,
position with Peter, or does she want to stop their connection because if Peter kisses Wendy for real, like a real kiss, and gets
mhm.
to see Wendy as a woman, then Peter will grow up. And then that means that she won't be able to play with him anymore. So there's like those two different ways you could view Tinkerbell. I see
Right.
Tinkerbell in the original story and in the cartoon and in the musical. Tinkerbell is played as she wants to get with Peter. Like she wants to
Right.
be his woman.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
especially in the cartoon, the Tinkerbell was hot, she's pretty darn sexy. And people have said like, oh, she was drawn after Marilyn Monroe, and like that's been disproven. Obviously, Marilyn Monroe wasn't even that famous in the early 50s, but
Right.
she's got this like bombshell body, and she was revolutionary because she was so sassy, and she's this like modern woman who takes control of her situation, and
But
she's not afraid to be a little off-putting, which is not what women were, in the 50s. It was like happy housewife, perfect woman, kind of like a Wendy, like a Mary Sue, Tinkerbell
sure.
wasn't no Mary Sue.
No, but still, Tinkerbell was concerned about the width of her hips.
Yes, yeah. Some
Yeah,
things
she still
didn't
had
date.
the. Yeah,
They're a little
there's
dated.
moments in there where it's like, oh
Like
yes, 1953.
remember when
How
Peter
are
like
you?
spanked her butt to get the fairy dust off of her? Like he
Yes.
spanked her ass.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
well then.
Yeah. Let me get some of that dust out of you there,
But
Tink.
but but when this is how you get your fairy dust out, spank spank. It's good for her. Seasoned with fairy. But yeah, no, but Tinkerbell gets legit pissed at Wendy, and she like burns through a leaf when she
Oh,
sees
sure.
Wendy and Peter are, starting to connect with each other like that. I was like, "Ooh,
Well,
she's
she wants her shot out of the sky. I mean,
oh
if
yeah."
if Wendy dies, Tinkerbell's happy.
And
She's convincing him that's just a big white bird out there, and it's like, great, let's shoot her
yeah,
down.
shoot the Wendy bird. And one of my favorite
Ah.
lines in the cartoon is when the mermaids go, "We were only trying to drown her." That's like one of my favorite lines in
Of
any
course you
Disney
were.
movie ever.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
There's some, I mean, there's parts of this movie that I really love. Uh, you know, the, this is one of the last movies. I think that this is the last movie that the nine old men that did a
Yes.
lot of the Disney cartoons. This is the
Yes.
last one they did together.
Yep.
So you're getting a lot of great backgrounds. You're getting a lot of wonderful scenery. Um, there's definitely like a little Looney Tunes that has drifted into
Oh
their
yeah.
game because there are some what I like to call Bugs Bunnyisms that
Mhm.
appear. That shot of the crocodile who like is going through the water and all of a sudden his eyebrows
The
go up
little
and down,
eyes.
up
Yeah, yeah.
and down.
Yeah.
It's like straight to camera, and it's like there's a little bit of that
And
that's
like
going on.
the chicken butt or the bird butt shaving moment.
I wrote
That's
down
very
bear
Looney
bird
Tunes.
butt. Bear
Yeah.
bird butt is right in my notes right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
As well as I'm trying to decide how to talk about this. Indian, Native American,
Yeah.
indigenous
Like
people. How do we want to
if
do this?
okay, so like
How
it's
do we
weird
want to
because
do this?
I just learned because I just recently met my bio dad, my birth father, and
Oh,
learned like,
nice.
yeah, and I learned like all of my heritage, my, what how I what my blood is made up of, the different nationalities and everything that encompass who I am.
Sure.
And I learned that I'm a quarter Native American from the
Oh,
Pequannock,
great.
yeah, the Pequannock tribe. So although I am a quarter Native American, I have no connection to that. I have no ability to make any kind of a call on what is
Sure.
okay and what is good representation and what is not. So if I say Indian, I it's just because that's what they're called in all these films.
That's how I'm
Obviously,
approaching it
I'm going to
too.
try to say Native American, but sorry if I don't at
Yeah.
me like I'm a bad podcaster if I say Indian. Sorry.
Well, and of course, when Barry's writing this story and he's putting in pirates and he's putting in Indians, I mean, look, when I was growing up in the 70s, I had a brother named David too. Uh, my brother and I would play Cowboys and
Cowboys and
Indians.
Indians, yeah.
Yeah. When it came around to Thanksgiving time in the classroom, we were making the
Oh
headbands
yeah.
with the feather
Oh
and we were
yeah.
playing all those games. And
When we
it's
had to
like
sit in
that.
a circle at share time or whatever, we would sit Indian
Sure.
style, like that
Absolutely.
was, yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'm
So
not
we,
like that old, and that was my upbringing too, so like
yeah,
I don't know when this ended, like what was the cutoff date when Cowboys and Indians was like no longer passed down to children, and when Indian style was not like how you refer to sitting cross-legged. I mean, I don't know when that happened, but not too long ago, sadly.
it should have ended after the song, What Made the Red Man Red.
Oh Lord.
That should have been the death knell of calling Native Americans Indians. That is, I look, Disney Plus, they put a disclaimer on the front of this movie now saying that, and I'm not going to read it verbatim, I'm just going to say it paraphrases as, look, we know there's some problems with this,
Oh
and
yeah.
there was problems then, and it's still a problem now. But you know what? We're going to leave it there so we can, teach the controversy. We can, so it's an artifact of the time.
And it
You
says
can
something like,
put
allow this to spark a conversation among your
sure,
group of family or friends, and figure out how you can do better in the future.
exactly. So let me spark this conversation right now. Cut the song out. Cut the song out.
Yeah,
It doesn't further the plot. It only is there to serve. The only thing that happens in that scene that's important is Tiger Lily and Peter Pan get a little friendly. Peter Pan gets red faced. Wendy gets mad and leaves. That's it. The rest of it, you can cut around that song. I mean, I'm not a great editor, but I can figure out how to cut around that song. Keep the instrumental track in and just cut around the words, cut around the Indian singing, and you've shortened the movie a little bit and you've taken out a very offensive. I think you could even leave in all the other Indian stuff if you want to, but that song just does not need to be there.
I wouldn't say to cut. I don't know. I mean, that's just probably me being, it's not my fat in the fire, even though I'm a
Sure,
quarter Native
sure.
American, which is very funny. Like I have no connection to that heritage. So I would always say like err on the side of leaving things in and then let it be up to your discretion whether or not you want to view it. But
Yeah,
yeah, the lyrics, I have some of them written down here. It's this okay, this colonialism is a huge part of the book. This whole
sure.
the white people came in and really saved those savages, and it's not good, guys. Like it's not a good mindset. Obviously, this is
Right.
very wrong. Oh, so very wrong. Uh the lyrics are once the Injun didn't know all the things that he know now, but the Injun he sure learn a lot, and it's all from asking how. And then
Mm.
it's Hana Hana Ganda Hana Hana Ganda. We translate for you. Hana means what Hana means, and Ganda means that too. Red man is
So,
red from yeah, and then and then I just wrote a note for myself. So basically in conclusion, the red man, what makes the red man red? Well, the red man is red from blushing when a girl kisses him. That's the point of
right,
the song.
right.
We
It's
really needed
basically
this song to tell us that.
it's basically Kiss the Girl from Little
Yeah.
Mermaid, where it's like we just got it. We have a song to get two people together.
Mm,
Fine, cut around it. You
yeah.
can do it.
Yeah.
You know what? Disney, you've got talented people on your staff. Send this movie to one of the people and just say, take a pass at this and see if you can get rid of this and make it still look smooth. I bet you somebody can figure it out. And then you can get rid of the disclaimer, and then you don't have a different movie without that song.
I
You
agree.
have a better movie without that song. So let's get into Mary Martin and
Oh my goodness.
Cyril Richard, Tony
So
Award winners for
yes.
this.
Yes.
And I would say deservedly so.
Yay. Oh, you liked it.
This went down so easy because I really thought what they did the best out of all of these versions is they captured the play and the child. It's a children's story. This one really captures the children's story of it all. It's very
Yeah.
inoffensive. It's not very violent. It's fun. Um, Even we just talked about the Indian stuff with the cartoon. I think they handled it better than the cartoon because they just look like people playing Indian. It's like you're getting that fun back into the whole thing.
Yes.
I really
And you
liked it.
guys, and like listeners, I'm not saying that the Indians, Native Americans, whatever, are
Exactly.
okay. They're they're a white woman plays Tiger Lily. Okay, a blonde white
Sure.
woman. It
Sure.
is not great for that reason. And yes, the songs have lyrics like Ugga Wugga Wigwam, Ugga Wugga Meatball, Ugga Wugga
Right.
Ostrich. Like, no, this
Right.
is not good. This is not good. But it's okay. And this is what I was going to say before. And just the last thing I will say about the Indian thing is that when J.M. Barrie wrote this story, I just do not believe at all in any part of me that he was intending to be offensive. This was
No.
just the way the mindset. I think there was kind of a fascination in the turn of the century for
Mhm.
Native American culture and
Right.
wanting to be closer to it. Kind of like in the 50s, there was this like Asian fascination where things like that looked Asian influenced were decorative and in
Sure.
50s homes and stuff. It was trendy, So yeah, around like the 30s, 40s, it was kind of trendy, this whole Native American fascination. And like,
Right.
um, no, I just to say that they were blatantly poking fun at Native American people in the novel, it is certainly not like that. He's
Right.
not poking fun at any one group, men, women, pirates, Native Americans. He's not. Everything is just for fantasy to make the children happy. So yeah.
In the
So just
musical
because I
version,
say, I was
yeah,
gonna say,
the
just because I
musical
say I
version.
like this doesn't mean I think it's okay, you know?
Well, and I think the musical version, it almost seemed to me like they were another group of Lost Boys who were deciding to
Mm,
dress up as Indians. And there was they kind of hinted that at this in the cartoon, uh, that they just kind of play these games, like one hunts the other one and captures, and then the next day it's like this elaborate game of tag or capture the flag or something like that, until
yeah.
Tiger Lily gets kidnapped, and then it becomes serious. But in the musical, I think they handled that as the best of any of these movies, I thought.
And dude, the dance numbers, the songs, bang. I mean, bangers. Like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh. And
it's Jerome Robbins. What are you gonna do? It's Jerome Robbins.
the formation dancing that the Indians
Yeah.
do, that they do that like cool thing where they all stand in like a V shape, you know, and they like lean
Mhm.
to the side. Sandra
Yeah.
Lee plays Tiger Lily and she's incredible. She's a great actor. Her
I
facial expressions,
yeah.
so interesting, so watchable. You can't take your eyes off of her.
I have to say I developed a little crush on Tiger
Sandra
Lily in that
Lee,
one.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
she
yeah.
was I was like, "Oh, okay. Hi Sandra. How you doing?"
Right? Same
Yeah.
with me. I was in
Yeah.
love with her as a kid. Like
Yeah.
I knew from a very young age that had a strong preference for women and boys did
Right.
not interest me at all. So I was just like all a gaga for Tiger Lily. I was obsessed with her, man. But okay,
Yeah.
let's start with talking a little bit about some Mary Martin. What a doll. I mean, she was 47 in 1960 when she filmed this,
Oh,
right?
I didn't know that.
I was
That's
shocked
amazing.
to learn that, yeah, and I've seen Kathy Rigby, her Peter Pan version, I've seen it online, and I also saw her as a teenager in person. I remember at the end of that play thinking to myself, "Man, Mary Martin was way better," and I was shocked to learn that she doesn't sing live, Kathy Rigby, and I'm like,
Oh, I'm
don't
not
know
surprised.
why you wouldn't wanna do that. Well, it's probably because she's Kathy Rigby and she's bouncing all over the stage, like, doing
Right.
tumbles and tricks and
Right, because
acrobatic
she was
things.
a professional gymnast.
Yeah,
That was her background before
and
becoming Peter Pan.
right, and she played, Peter Pan into her, like, 60s. I think when I saw her on stage when she did the revival, she was, like, in her late 50s, early 60s, something like that, and it was, great what she was doing, but yeah, highly prefer Mary Martin. Mary Martin just simply stands there and sings her song, and I would like to
Mhm.
play a little bit of that song now. Actually, first I wanna play the intro because when this film, you guys, this was magical for me. Okay. This, when
Mhm.
you put like I was saying to Paul, if you put a stethoscope up to my heart and you want to hear what the sound of Jade's heartbeat sounds like, you will hear
Yeah.
the soundtrack to The Wizard of Oz and you will hear this Peter Pan soundtrack. This film brought me such joy as a child. This was a huge awakening for me as to I need to be an actor. There's one thing that I can do in this world, and it's this. I'm going to perform. I was just, I was overwhelmed with delight when I first watched this. And I remember very little of my childhood. And this is something that I do remember vividly. I remember sitting in my living room, laying on the floor. I remember the gingham couch and the paisley chair that was next to me. Like I remember exactly where this hit me for the first time and how much it meant to me and how much it
Mhm.
still means to me. I can't tell you how much fun I had rewatching this. So there were some things though that stuck out to me that I didn't realize when Mary Martin first shows up and she flies into that window. I was flooded with this remembrance of how magical it felt to me as a kid, that fluttering sound, but also how very scary it was as a child. So let me play it for you. Oh, chills, man, chills.
Tinkerbell.
Okay. It's very scary.
That's
You
great.
know, like that sound though, that this okay, so the music is by Mark Charlap, Julie Stein, and most of the lyrics were Carolyn Lee, and also lyrics by Comden and Green, the famous lyric duo, Betty Comden and Adolph Green. This soundtrack is incredible. I mean, do you agree?
I think it is overall, and the later movies don't really get into the musical stuff.
Right.
But if you're asking me to choose between the music in this one and the music in the cartoon, I will definitely take the musical.
Oh yeah.
Now, except "Never Smile at a Crocodile" is still my favorite song of all of them. So if they could have wedged that in there. Now, Bernstein did a musical, well, he did a play with music like a couple of years before this version. It's very interesting to me that Disney and then Bernstein and then this version all kind of come out in this very little clump of a time with different songs, with different emphasis on where those songs are going to go and the style of those songs.
Mm,
It's very interesting that these three kind of powerhouse groups got together or didn't get together and did their own little versions of this. It's kind of fascinating. But this is, I think, the best one
yes.
overall. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Um,
I think
yeah,
that yeah, go ahead.
that first song that she sings,
Yes.
the Neverland song, is one that will stick in your head for, well, for you ever.
Yes.
And
Oh, you mean
but
the one where she sings about Neverland?
yes,
Neverland?
yes,
Yeah, that's the
I
first
think,
ballad.
yeah, yeah, that's a
It's
great,
beautiful.
it's a great tune. And it goes melodically, it goes in places that I wasn't expecting it to go. When it goes ba da 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 ba da 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 da, it dips down
Yeah.
like that. I'm
Yeah.
not expecting it to go there. I'm expecting that to still rise, and to take that little bit of a dip into a minor key is really effective, and it really sets up this idea that we're going on an adventure. It ain't all going to be fun and games.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah,
That's what I mean by this layered, like the musicality. It's dark in some places and it is deep and intense in some places. And like that,
yeah,
I just when I on this rewatch, when she flew into that window and the chills, the goosebumps came over me. I was like, this scared me as a kid and I loved it. I was like,
yeah,
oh, it's getting good. Because the one thing that I couldn't stand as a kid was, oh, they're dumbing it down for children. I can feel it. I was like, I watched The Shining at a very young age and I was so into it because it was giving me realness. Like, this is the dark side of humanity. Please stop treating me like I'm stupid and can't handle something like this. I don't think a lot of children could, especially at the age that I was when I saw that. But I was
right.
so into this musical in particular because of the dark places that it went, where I don't think that they would probably go if this were to be like remade musical for children nowadays.
Right.
But Mary Martin is so great. And I just want to talk about her portrayal of Peter Pan because I know that she's a woman, right? She's a woman. Like, it's very obvious that you're watching a woman, but there's
Right.
something about her, and she's a 47-year-old woman, but there's something about her that is she gets what it in the mindset of a little boy, and I buy it. Do you feel this way at all, or did you never at any point in watching her
No,
perform?
no. I mean, the, and you coming from a theatrical background, and me as well, to a certain extent, when you're on stage, uh, that suspension of disbelief has to really kick in, because you know that you're sitting in a theater, you know that those actors are right in front of you, and you know that that's not anything close to reality. Uh, so you kind of let yourself, if you're a good audience member, you let yourself go and you let yourself believe whatever you're going to see on stage. Mary Martin does a great job of playing that childlike innocence. She might do that better than any of the other Peter Pans.
I'm saying, man, I might be
Yeah,
saying it.
she
Because
might have hit that, she hits that gear between um where you she hits a gear where you don't even think about her gender.
No,
You
yeah,
don't think
yeah. You
about
get
that at
into a
all.
place when you're watching it and yeah, okay. So it wasn't just me. You were
No,
kind of
it's
like buying it.
no, I of course. Well, and plus this is her part. This is
Yeah.
her part, and this is she that it's so obvious that she'd been playing this role for a few years, and it was so obvious that she felt very comfortable in that skin
Oh yeah.
and wasn't trying to bring in any sort of like nod to like, oh, I'm really a woman, I'm really 47 years old. It's like a complete transformation. I am this person, and as long as I don't give you any reason to disbelieve it, why not believe it for the next 2 hours?
Yeah, yeah.
And for
There's
me, that's the magic of theater versus the magic of
yeah,
movies.
right. Yes.
Movies, you gotta buy. Like Mary Martin couldn't play
No.
Peter Pan in a movie, but on stage, there's just nobody better.
I totally agree. There's something about her cockiness that is so lovable, which is the
Mhm.
hardest part of playing Peter Pan, right? It's like,
Oh yeah,
how do you take, because let me tell you guys, I had just read the book again, and he is not a good guy. I just was constantly like, Jesus, really, dude? Like, he's a bastard, a bitch, whatever you want to call it. He's an asshole. He's not
yeah,
a
yeah.
good guy, Peter Pan.
He's a
And
jerk.
he's a jerk. And I remember watching this musical as a child and thinking to myself, God, why is she so heartless and mean? And like, now I watch it and I'm like, she's so lovable though. And I was loving it as a kid, but I remember being disturbed by like, I took when you're a kid, you take everything super seriously. So I just remember being like, why would someone not want to be touched and hugged? Like, why? Like, I didn't,
Right.
and I'm a very lovey-dovey person, and I was a lovey-dovey, kind of kid. So seeing someone who is just like, no, don't touch me,
Mhm.
and who is very selfish, it like disturbed me, and it like kind of upset me. And I didn't like that character, but Mary Martin, she has this way, this warmth about her that is, she just walks a very fine line. Another part of her performance that I really enjoy is she's not self-conscious as a performer, and she lets
No.
herself go kind of a little like ugly, and not ugly, but like a grubby little kid, I want to play an example real quick from
Go
my
for it.
favorite song that she sings, which is the I Got a Crow song, because this is another hard thing for Peter Pan to make believable. Crow organically. Just I dare you, give it a try. It's like cackling, like an evil laugh, like, yeah, I'll get you, my pretty. Like, it's very difficult to make that, and I could just go into it like it's nothing, because yes,
I know you can.
yeah, I may have played the Wicked Witch a time or two in my day, but yeah, it's not easy to take something like just cockadoodle doing, like that's like you do it every day, 20 times a day, just because you're feeling, I got my coffee. Like, it's not, to make it sound natural is just a feat, and she does it so organically. I just got to play it. Hold on.
Crow. I'm just the cleverest fella 'twas ever my fortune to know. I taught a trick to my shadow to stick to the tip of my toe. I got a crow.
This part.
I got a brag. I think it's sweet. I have fingers and feet. I can wiggle and wag. I can climb trees and play tag with the breeze in the meadows below. I got a crow.
Okay, I'll stop.
No,
Oh,
no,
it's
no.
dangerous for me to do
You
this,
know
Paul.
what?
It's dangerous.
You know what? We should just like not talk about any of this and just recreate the play. I don't remember any of my SME lines, but send me some sides and we'll figure it out.
Oh my God.
Just watching that little clip, what's great about her is there's no artifice to it. It's just, I'm going to be this character. I love when she says, I gotta brag.
Yeah,
And
she's
she
such
gets
like a
that little,
little kid.
yeah, and then her shoulders go up, and she's like, it's like she's playing that character so innocently that this song, which is comes out of her taking comes out of Peter Pan taking credit for reattaching his shadow, which he did not do. And Wendy's already called him a little rude boy. Wendy's already kind of hip to the jive with Peter Pan at this point, but he's like, no, I'm not only am I going to take credit for it, I'm going to sing a song about it. And it just kind of doubles, triples down on this innocent person doing all this. And like I said, there's no other version of this that you will find that. I mean, even the cartoon starts with like Demon Pan and the Tinkerbell's like highlighting his face and like this awful. He looks like a murderous raccoon for a moment. And there's nothing like that in the musical. It is just, I'm this kid. I'm going to lead you on an adventure. It's going to be a great adventure. And why not follow me? Because what else you got going on? And there's just very innocent. She conveys that innocence so simply. And yeah. And
she has this thing that she does that Kathy Rigby, for example, doesn't do. Mary Martin just leaves herself alone. She just stands there and sings the song, and she gets out of her own way. And as a performer, that is the hardest thing to do, to not overcomplicate.
Yeah.
Not put a hat on a hat on a hat,
That's very true.
No little children love me. I'm told they play at Peter Pan, and the strongest always chooses to be Peter. They force the baby to be Hook. The baby. That's where the canker gnaws. I'm told they find Smee lovable. How can I break it to him that they find him lovable?
No! Bicarbonate of soda, no! Not even...
Smee. All in one piece?
When he said, no, bicarbonate of soda, no. I was like, I never heard that before,
That's great.
And oh my God, there's some gems in here, man. And they also do a lot of things. I mean, let me tell you, because the book is so fresh in my mind, this is directly, I mean, the script is adapted so well from the book. It is faithful, man. There's the Peter like disguising his voice and doing that thing where he like hides among the trees with Hook. He's not a lady in the book, but he does do that thing where he like throws his voice and confuses the crap out of Hook. And then the pirates do this thing at one point where they like pull the little children up out of their little underground lair, and they toss them. The pirates, like an assembly line, like toss the children down the line. And I remember that as a child, like that image was very disturbing. But in the book, they talk about the pirates tossing the children one to the other like sacks of potatoes, and that's just ripped right from there. The whole poisoning sequence was terrifying when Hook goes down that pole with the poison in his mouth, like real slow down that pole. I just remember being freaked out, and that's exactly how it's like described in the book. The Smee being lovable speech where Captain Hook talks about how the children love Smee, and he's like on a sewing machine. I always thought that was random as hell as a kid, but it's from the book. Like, because Smee is very for lack of a better word, like womanly. He does the womanly household tasks and chores like sewing and things. The cock-a-doodle-doo hiding in the ship, that the doodle-doo or whatever Hook is calling it. The doodle-doo. I never knew what the hell they were talking about as a kid, but yeah, that's in the book too. I forgot about that being in the book. And this is one of the only tellings of the story, like adaptations, that has Mr. Darling being like putting himself in Nana's doghouse as a punishment. And they almost had that go into the 2003 remake. There are some outtakes, there's some deleted scenes, which I think would have been hilarious to see. What's his name? Jason Isaacs in that doghouse. If you go on YouTube, you can see those outtakes. But that's from the book. Mr. Darling like punishes himself by putting himself in Nana's doghouse and like living in there. And at one point, Mrs. Darling goes like, "But George, you're not enjoying it, are you? It is a punishment, isn't it?" He's like, "Yes, of course I'm it's a punishment. I'm not enjoying this at all. Why would you say that?" Which I find very funny. So yeah, there's one major difference about this film is that Liza goes to Neverland, the housemaid, and she kicks up her heels like ballet style. Uh
Yeah, that's probably like
Liza
I
was
don't
filler.
I don't think when we did it in high school that we had a Liza scene where she dances with the animals.
Yeah, no,
I'm
that was
pretty sure
just for this
that
musical.
was like, yeah, that was a fast forward moment. It's like, well,
Yeah.
I see what's happening here. It's we don't need to spend much more time. And then she just like disappears.
Yeah, she was non-consequential. That did not need to be in
Yeah,
there. I
yeah,
remember
because
as a
she
kid
does.
being like, why is this here?
Yeah,
Yeah, she dances
I love with the
with the
animals.
yeah, with the giant like terrifying bird, that ostrich thing, and then
Oh
the
yeah,
the lion with glasses. This is so cute.
I could see like high schools going, yeah, we can cut this part out because who's going to make those costumes? Come on.
Yeah.
We've already got pirates and Indians and everything like that. We don't need another character.
Right.
Um, I want you now to
Hmm.
wax rhapsodic about Cyril Richard
Oh, my
because
Cyril.
I know you can.
I love this man, Cyril Richard. You guys. I love this man so entirely, so completely. I was obsessed with Captain Hook as a child. I mean, if you tried to talk to me, if you tried to rip me away from the television screen while I was watching my Cyril Richard, I would have bitch slapped you. I no. I you could not drag me away from the screen when he's on. You guys, he's so good. He's so delightful. And if you're listening to this podcast right now and you're just waiting for us to get to, the live action, we're getting there, okay? We're getting there. But this is my podcast and I will love on Cyril Richard if I want to. And so this is my moment because I'll never get another moment to talk about it. I love this man. I love him so much. So, first of all, let me just talk about his costume, right? He has it going on. I remember as a kid being so pleased by his appearance because it was exactly what I pictured when I would read the book as a kid. Because I read the book first and then I watched this film and then I watched the cartoon. That was my that was my introduction to Peter Pan. And then I think I saw the play after that. I might have seen the play after or before the cartoon, but whatever. I was just so the way that I think he's the only Hook to be portrayed with like a double pronged hook, which is kind of silly, but it's kind of more creepy.
Oh, that
Like,
double prong comes back in one of the live action movies. That double prong comes back. I made a
oh
note of that.
yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yes. Put a
yeah.
pin in that, put a hook in that. We'll
Oh,
come
I've got
back
a
to
hook in it. I definitely
it.
do.
Yeah. So I loved
He's so.
his, yeah.
Go ahead,
No, no,
please.
I could go on. Go ahead. You talk.
I want you to go on, but I will say this: he is great as Hook, and I really also think he's great as Mr. Darling.
Yes.
He is so good at Mr. Darling. It is one of the like. There's so much Mr. Darling confusion in some of the other performances of like, how do I play this to kind of give my own spin on it. He's playing it still like blustery, but still friendly. He's trying to run the house, but he's not trying to run over people. He's just trying to kind of cope with the situation.
And
And
and when he jokes about the necktie, he's clearly
yes,
joking,
he's clearly joking.
but it's like his bit. It's like him and his wife's thing. It's like this thing that they do. He's like, if you don't
Right,
tie this necktie, we won't go out. And if we don't go out, I will not go to the office again. And if we don't go to the office again, the children will be flung into the streets. And the children, no, father, no. And then it's like, oh, it's okay. I got the tie tied. Oh, everything
right.
is well. It's exactly how it reads in the book. Exactly. And they don't try to make this moment something it's not. They just simply are faithful to J.M. Barrie's meaning behind this, that it is like their little family quirk game
Right.
dynamic.
Well, that's what's really great about the musical version, and especially this version of the musical, is that they're keeping that sense of childlike wonder. They're keeping that sense of adventure. They're not going too heavy.
No, it is
Obviously,
not that deep. This is
right.
not that deep.
Yeah, obviously. Well, later ones want to make it more deep than it is. And I even think the Disney one tries to make it a little more deep than it is. The musical really keeps it light, and it keeps it, this is, they're like, that
Yeah.
scene has been played like he's really upset, but you play it like this, and you set the tone that we're having a good time here, everybody. You know, we're having adventures, we're having things. Yes, there's things that we got to get to, Tinkerbell's poisoning and all that sort of stuff, but we're having this, it's a very nice story that we're telling. It's a very familiar story that we're telling, and we're not gonna burden it with a bunch of crap. We're gonna
Yeah.
play it pretty straight.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's him, as much as I loved him as Captain Hook, I think I loved him as Mr. Darling just as much.
I think that that's one of the hardest things to do as the actor who plays this role, is doing both
Yeah,
of them believably and making them both different enough, but like clearly similar enough. And
right.
you really get the sense that these children love their father and wish that he was not so strict. But at the
Yeah.
very same, in the very same breath, they're thinking, but if he wasn't strict, he wouldn't be father. And father, it's like, no, father, don't be so strict. But then when you take them away to Neverland and they're reflecting on their father, they're like, yeah, but my father has to be that way because that's what being a father is. Like the
Mhm.
children really start to understand why and like to start to appreciate their father's burden, that
Right.
I think.
And I will say this: if you're out there thinking about making another Peter Pan, and you're not thinking about making Captain Hook and Mr. Darling the same actor, rethink it.
Please
You
stop.
have to make them the same actor.
Hmm.
It is imperative. I really thought when I was watching Hook that what they should have done is made like Dustin Hoffman, Robin Williams' boss in the real world.
Yes, thank you. That was so
Yeah,
missing.
yeah.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
there's a connection there. Then there's a reason to call that movie Hook. And maybe he's also having this moment where he's like, I vaguely remember being someplace else with a hook on a hand, and maybe you give, I don't know, but I haven't really thought this out.
I vaguely remember
But
being stuck with a hook on my hand.
yeah, I mean, but maybe they both have to go back to Neverland. Maybe that's they both have to go back. I thought that was a real missed opportunity, especially when you
Yeah.
get someone like Dustin Hoffman to play that role. It's
Yeah.
like, let's give him something to do. But even the 2023, I mean, as much as I love Alan Tudyk, it's like Jude Law's right there.
Okay.
Let
Okay.
him play Mr. Darling.
We'll get
I
there.
know, I
One
know.
second. Before we move off of the musical, I
We
gotta
yes,
play you one more thing because I'm itching to get to it too. I'm itching to
okay.
compare 2003 to 2023. So before we get into all of that, because it's not all good, it's not all happy. It's kind of the majority of not happy. Actually, we're about to get into not happy land. So I just want to have one more breath of glorious happy. Play you listeners and viewers. Hopefully, you guys are viewing this on YouTube because it's really special with these clips. We're gonna watch some Cyril Richard. You're welcome.
Oh,
Here we go.
On
Ooh.
with your plan, Captain.
To cook a cake quite large and fill each layer in between with icing mixed with poison till it turns a tempting green.
We'll place it
near the house, just where the boys are sure to come. And being greedy, they won't care to question such a plum. The boys who have no mother sweet, no one to show them their mistake, won't know it's dangerous to eat. So damp and rich a cake, and so before the winking of an eye, those boys will eat that poison cake, and one by one they'll die.
Then he just goes, "Ole." It's so good. Oh my
oh.
gosh. It's just so damn delightful. It's just so damn delightful. I'm so delighted right now.
He is
I'm not
having he's having a ball. He is
chewing
having
that
a
scenery,
ball.
man. Just
That's
chewing
the
it,
other thing too,
savoring it.
with those two actors, with Mary Martin and Cyril Richard. They are having the time of their
The
life, and
time
it
of their lives.
shows their energy in those scenes together. And it's just so it's just perfect the way those two energies just kind of mesh and they play off each other. Those songs, I mean, that is some, I mean, it's not quite Gilbert and Sullivan, but it's getting there. You know,
It's
it's like Gilbert and Sullivan for kids. You know,
yeah, yeah.
we can't go full HMS Pinafore, but we're gonna do something very close to that.
Oh, no, please. It's just for spring cleaning. He wants me always to do his spring cleaning. Oh, if only I could go with you. You can't. You see, Wendy, you're too grown up. Ready, Jade?
I remember as a kid, like hating this ending at first
Mhm.
because I didn't want Wendy to not go with him. I was like,
Oh, right.
Wendy, no, I don't. I was very like, things should always be a certain way as a kid. I had a big problem with like change, I remember, especially when it came to like stories that didn't end in a way that I preferred. And I remember like being very dissatisfied with the ending of Peter Pan because Wendy grew up and got older. I did not like that. I wanted Wendy to always be able to go with him. But I do remember after I watched it a couple of times, and it's just so weird that like I remember very little of my young childhood, very little. And the fact that this movie can make me remember exactly how I felt at that age, it's like this movie is incredibly, oh my God, like I just got a little choked up thinking about it. Like this movie is incredibly valuable to me because like through watching this movie, I'm able to like remember things that
Mm,
I like have suppressed from my childhood. And it's like really
yeah,
special, like when things touch you like that in that way, oh God, when things like affect you like that, hold on to them. Like find things from your childhood that evoke those feelings because as you get older and older, they get like farther away. Like it gets, those
yeah.
memories like slip farther and farther away. So yeah, this is so
Yeah.
precious to me because it transports me right back there. But yeah, no, and then so I remember feeling like, okay, no, I've accepted it. Like I get why it has to change. Um, I get why she has to grow older. And then, like you said, the cycle begins anew. But then once I saw the other adaptations of Peter Pan that didn't include this, I remember liking that better. Like, I just don't think that it needs this. Not for me anyway.
Right.
I just
I
think that
don't,
it's like, I don't need this you to tell me that the cycle continues because it's a
right.
little too on the nose for me. Like I would rather use my imagination, knowing that Peter Pan leaves Wendy at the end and doesn't stay with the family like the other lost boys, knowing that Peter
Mhm.
Pan goes back to Neverland. I just assume he's going to find another little girl. I assume he'll find more lost boys because that's what Peter Pan do.
Sure.
That's how he is.
Yeah.
The name of
I
his game.
think, I think the reason that you don't see that ending is because you can't do it with a male actor. I don't think you can do it with a male actor. I think if Mary Martin's taking Jane off to Neverland, it seems okay. If one of those other boys in that we're going to be talking about in the other movies does it, it's it's a creepy male immortal stealing another child. You know,
Yeah.
you believe that Mary Martin's going to bring her back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because she's playing that very childish, very, I mean, in a lot of ways, very sexless,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
that sort of thing.
That's another thing
Any
I
of,
wanted to talk about.
yeah, any of the other, any boy playing that part and then coming back for the young child, that's to me that's problematic. And so I'm glad those other movies didn't. I I just don't think they could. I don't think they could tack on that ending. I think it's just too weird.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I agree.
Mary Martin pulls it off. Mary Martin pulls it off.
Yeah. Yeah, that I wanted to say that's another thing that they excise from this version because I think we're dealing with a woman and Wendy. Like, I think that they were afraid that that would read as weird if they were giving each other kisses. That whole kiss thing. Like, Wendy does
Yeah,
get shot in the heart, and her button does protect her heart from being shot, but there's no kiss that was given to her by Peter. There's no thimble. None of that is in this one. But
Right.
they do, this is a very, so this iteration is very like the book in the way that it's very mother heavy, and like Wendy is very motherly. And
Right.
she readily says when the Lost Boys in the musical ask her, "Will you please be our mother?" She just goes, "Of course I will." Like
Right.
I can't believe it took you so long to ask. Like I would love nothing more, you know. She's very, very motherly.
Yeah.
And that's the way that it is in the book. But in the book, actually, she puts up a little more of like, I don't know if I want to be a mother. I don't know if I'm ready to be a mother. And then in the book, they say, well, we don't really need you to be a mother. We just need a nice motherly person. And
Right.
then Wendy goes in the book, well, that is surely what I am. I am a nice motherly person. Okay. As long as I don't really have to be your mother, that's a lot of responsibility. But I'll be, you know, your motherly, you know, little like lookout, you know, someone who's just got
Right.
the motherly, you know, your friend, the one in your group of friends who always makes sure, like, did we bring a snack? Are you cold? Do you want my jacket? Like that friend, you know, that's Wendy.
Right. Right.
So,
Right.
but in the musical, there is that moment where Mary Martin and Maureen Bailey, who plays Wendy, they have that conversation about where Wendy says, "What are your exact feelings for me?" And Peter
Mhm.
Pan goes, "Well, those of a devoted son, Wendy." And she was like,
Woof.
"Oh, I thought so. Like, damn it."
Yeah.
And right from the book, she says, "You and Tinkerbell are so strange." She says that there's something she wants to be to me and it's not my mother, but she won't tell me what it is. And Wendy's like, "Yeah, she won't tell you what it is. I know what it is, you know." Wendy's like, "I feel you, Tinkerbell. No one's gonna
Yeah.
get this one, you know. Can't pin
Yeah.
him
You
down."
may be in a state of arrested development, but our hormones are kicking in at
Yeah,
this
yeah.
age, and we would like to have like a real kiss and a real boyfriend and a real romance, even though we're 12, 13 years old. It's like this is the time we're thinking about those things rather than just cleaning and telling you stories.
Yeah.
And we need a little bit more.
And there's
So,
a moment between Maureen Bailey and Mary Martin when she's about to leave Neverland, and she says, "Peter, if another little girl should come along, one younger than I," you know, and she's like about to say something, and she like can't finish her sentence, but she's like, it's very heartbreaking. It's very emotional, you know. So
yeah.
this film, although it's not that deep and it is for little children, you know, as an adult, you really feel it tug at your heartstrings, you know, even through the cheesy acting that Maureen and like the over the top, you know, acting that Maureen Bailey does. It's not great, but you still really get this sense of loss. And at its core, I think that Peter Pan is really a story of loss, because that's one thing that J.M. Barrie was very well acquainted with in his life. There was a lot of tragedy in his life. A lot of his siblings died, and the story is about saying goodbye to the people that you love. It's about losing things, losing your innocence, losing your freedom, parents losing children. This story, it feels like a love letter to any mother who's ever lost a child.
Mm,
And I think that that's a big part of it, because J.M. Barrie was writing this for his mother and he was putting her in the story as Wendy. He often would tell her stories about a little girl in a blue dress, and that's the way Wendy is portrayed in a lot of versions of Peter Pan, because that's the way his mother would talk about her own childhood. She would always remember this blue dress she wore. So yeah, when children watch this, I think it's probably some like their first eye-opening realization that we lose people. Like Wendy has to lose Peter. Peter almost loses Tinkerbell, and Hook
right.
loses Peter as well, you know, and told from the parents' perspective, this is a horror story.
Right.
It's they're thinking their children are dead, you know, and they're keeping the window open hoping that their children will return to them. Like they are in terror. It's
Right.
not a if you flip the script, it's like see it from the other side. It's like a very dark tale.
Yeah.